Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? This is Tuesday Talk of Qualities. If you're just tuning in for the first time on the show, I would like to thank you for being part of it. I would also like to thank my die-hard fans that always show support. And I would like to thank just everybody that's tuning in. Please follow the station under the photo. Just hit follow, and that way you can also chat live. You can also get updates and notifications, stuff like that. It'd be a good thing. Um, Also, I would like to thank everyone on Qualities of a Good Man page on Facebook. I would also like to thank you guys. And I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. Hope everybody was able to see their family, you know, spend time with that significant other, maybe travel, you know, and Christmas is coming up, so it's not over. New Year's is coming up, so we're just getting started into the holiday season. So yeah, I took some time off, uh, you know, um, taking care of business. I wear many hats, so that kind of got in the way as far as with the topics. But I did some interviews on the show. If you've been keeping up to date with me, I've been doing some interviews with some artists, with some entrepreneurs, things like that. So I'm going to continue that. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do the music part on Qualities of a Good Man. What I will probably do is separate it, put it on my other show, and then only do interviews on qualities if it's pertaining to like inspiration, stuff like that. Kind of like keep it on topic. So I've been doing that. And some other things. So I'm going to get back into it with the topics and things of that nature. I felt it was a good thing. It was a test. It was a trial ever um, for me in the station. And I see it wasn't going too well because the people that was just wanted to tune in to talk to me or listen to me or call in and engage in the show, I found that they wasn't really digging the other interviews. I guess based off of what it pertained to. So I apologize for that. um, so I would like to thank you. But once again, please share the link. Please tell your friends, your family about the station. So I'm going to start it off. It's a little rusty, but I'm saying like as far as hearing me in a long time is kind of rusty, but I'm not rusty. I'm never rusty. I'm always ready. Lights, camera, action. So the show tonight is talking about men intimidated by confident and successful women. Now I know people gonna say I know men definitely. I know their ego going to kick in. The lids on their ears is going to shut. They're not going to want to listen. but it's facts. And I only kick facts. I don't care if people like it or not. I'm going to kick the facts and not talk no garbage, or just talk about what people think that I should say or what should be said, you know. And I'm not saying all men are like this, but it is a good portion of men that's like this. And I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it funky, and I know some women can agree to it. You know, it is a lot of men out there that are intimidated when a female are successful and when she's confident and have that self love. You know, the first thing they'll say is she's stuck up. You know, she's just thinking about her. She's just too much to handle. You know, so and the women that's like this, that's successful and confident, they kind of understand what I'm saying. It's true, you know. And what I'm just going to basically break down is that why some of these men are like this. Well, let's take it back to the genes. You know, a man, he wants to be. He was born to be a leader. First of all men was born to be a leader. You know, and I'm not talking about now what's going on. How men are now, but as a man, you're born to be a leader. You know, now when society gets to you and corrupt you and mess up your mind, and when people around you mess up your mind, that's a different story. But I think that all men are born to be leaders. So when they meet these women that's confident, and want to, that's doing stuff for themselves, things like that, they find that as a challenge sometimes. They find that as a challenge, and you know, um, I know a lot of times, some men, the type of men also, you know, um, they prefer women that really don't have too much going on for themselves, that want a woman to depend on them for everything. So they, this is when the testosterone kick in, and they just want to be the alpha male, and you know, this is when they feel good. So it's a lot of ego. I would say about 90% of ego with this, and it's all it has to do a lot with education. You know, if a guy is less educated than a woman, or if he have less than what she have as far as like monetary goods. She may have a nice car, he may not have a nice car, or don't have a car at all, or she may have a nice house and he don't have a nice house, or she may have an MBA or a PhD and he may only have a bachelor or a master, you know. So a lot of times this can be a challenge to these type of men because they feel that they're not worthy, and it don't have nothing to do with the female. Uh, you know, um, it's just that something that a man always wants to feel like he's making a difference, like he's the one that you know um put the sun into orbit, and the moon. A man always want to feel like that. And I'm not saying that these women that is confident and successful, like they won't allow a man to do that. Not saying that these women want to be the man as well, but when a woman in this society, you know, is successful, she has a lot to be she has a lot to celebrate for, especially if she have children. Whether if she was single raising them, or whether if she was in a marriage or a relationship raising them. You know, a woman always have a lot on her plate when she have children. And when she becomes single, it just becomes twice as hard. 10 times as hard. But even if the man is there, she still have a lot on the plate because that's her nature. And the kids, children tend to want to go to mommy for everything. And the man wants to go to mommy for everything. you know. So, um, they're more intimidated because, she's successful and, she's confident. And when a woman mind concept is powerful, very strong, she's not gonna just tolerate just anything that a man say or do. You know, um, if she has a weak mind, she will tolerate and believe whatever a man say or do. But if she's very strong, very confident, independent, she's not going to just go for anything, fall for anything. So a lot of times, these men that are intimidated by confident and successful women, they know that they just can't manipulate them. They know that they just can't tell them anything. It becomes a challenge. It becomes a challenge to these men, and not every man is up for a challenge. Not every man is up for a challenge. Some of them just want things easy. Just like we all know, it's men out there that look for women to take care of them. They grown men and look for women to take care of them. You know, so it has a whole lot to do with that, and several things. It can also be, what I feel also is that, you know, their father wasn't around, so they don't know how to be a man. They don't know how to put that foot forward. You know, um, and women want strong men. Women want strong men. Don't matter how sweet you are. Don't matter, your background, your education. Don't matter. A woman, she don't only want security as far as like finances and stuff like that. She also want to feel protected. You understand what I'm saying? She want to feel protected too. So it takes a strong man to have to for a woman to feel that she's secure and she's protected and well taken care of. And it just don't just come with the man being tough or anything like that. It don't have nothing to do with that. It has to do with giving her hugs at certain times, holding her at certain times, telling her certain things at certain times, sometimes not saying nothing, just listening, and so it's a strategy. It's a strategy. It's not one or two things that you do for a female and that's it over and over. You just do the same one, two, three, four, five things over and over again and you doing your job. No, it's a strategy. It's a plan. You know, it's like a business plan. Something like that. It's a strategy, and even though when you have your business plan, you still have to revise that every now and then. You know, because you can have the most successful, well thought out business plan, and it can be working. But you can't be using that same business plan for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And I'm talking about with your woman. You have to revise that. You have to change it. You have to add stuff. You have to take stuff out. And that's what I feel a lot of men don't understand, that dealing with a woman is a strategic thing. You know, I don't want to say it's like going to war because war is bad, but it's like it's like a challenge. It's a continuous challenge, and you have to keep um, refining yourself, over and over again. And I don't know, it's men that's probably listening that's saying, well, what about the woman? I mean, sometimes I don't want to get into that. What about the woman? Because I think that's a weak man, and that's a weak approach. You know, if the woman know her place and she know who she is, she's gonna step into her place and she's gonna do her duties. So I'm not worrying about what about the women. I'm doing what I need to do so that things can go good on my end, and I make sure that she gets what she needs from me. I don't get stuck on that. Well, what about the? I mean, I think that's like playing tug of war. Like when kids are in school, and a child hit another child, and the other child hit her back, but the child that hit the first child, when the teacher come over and say, well, why did you hit her? Well, he pushed me, or she, it's kind of petty, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just not that type of man that sit around saying, well, what about women is doing, what women not doing? I'm not petty like that. I do what I got to do as a man, and I stand firm, and I do what I was here to do, you know. Now, if the women don't do that, that's another story. But I'm not sitting around being petty, talking about what about the women. So, you know, women, and women are more advanced as they ever been to date. 2013, about to be 2014. Women are more advanced. They're getting more jobs. They have high degrees. They doing a lot of things that they wasn't doing 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, even 50 years ago. So now they're more advanced. So now, you know, um, I will agree. Women have bypassed some men in certain fields and certain sectors. They have bypassed them. So, as a man, I mean, first of all, to love yourself, you should always be pushing yourself if you love yourself. You know, um, because times wait for nobody. Time waits for no one. So, you know, um, you don't want to get left in the sauce. You know, with your with your finger up your nose. Thinking about like what's going on because times wait for no one. So I believe women have bypassed men in certain fields. And that's just the time. You know, whether it's good or bad. I don't think it's good or bad. It's just how things are. So we have to, as men, you know, accept that. And I think that some men that's not successful or they feel that they're not successful because first of all you're successful just by being alive, but that don't go too far in society. So you gotta be like successful in school, you gotta be successful in working, as an entrepreneur, like whatever path that you want to take in life. So you know you have to be successful, and I think that some men can't adapt to that women are becoming a powerful force. Well, they are a powerful force now, and I believe that they're just going to get stronger as a force. So, they see, women doing their thing, and I think it's intimidating. It's intimidating to a lot of men, you know, um, because now women don't have to depend on a man to do everything. They don't, and I'm talking about the successful women. I'm not talking about the women that's not doing nothing for themselves. You know, um, and I'm not knocking y'all. I'm not knocking y'all, but I'm sticking to the subject and to the show. So I think the women that's doing a lot for themselves, very successful, that don't need a man for money, that don't need a man, to go out and eat, that don't need a man to get her a car, that don't need a man to get her a house, that don't need a man to buy her clothes, you know, that's a game changer now. You know, and if you want to keep it small, women don't need a man to buy her drinks when she go out to a function or to a club or to a lounge or to a party. You know, she don't need a man to do that anymore because now she's making her own money, so she can provide those things for herself. So now you have the men that either still believe in that old fashioned way or believe that they can manipulate women. They're stuck now because they don't realize that times have changed. So this makes them intimidated to these type of women. So what they do is they flock to the women that they feel that is easier, that need men, that rely on men to do everything. And I'm not talking about the women in marriage and good relationships that rely on their man to do certain things. Yes, ladies, you should rely on your man to do certain things if you're in a relationship or married because he should be doing those certain things. But I'm talking about these single women that's not in relationships or go from relationship to relationship, they relying on men to do certain things for them, you know. So these men will go and seek out these easy women, these easy prey, you know, because now they don't have a challenge. They can come and go as they will. They can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, because they know that these women that's not educated and don't have self-love and that's not doing nothing for themselves, they can't say nothing because they not offering nothing. And being that you're not offering nothing, you can't say nothing. So you can't challenge a person that's doing everything for you, and you can't challenge him. You just have to be quiet. And once again, like I said, I'm not talking about in a relationship. I'm talking about these single loose people running around here, So it's a lot, but it's the things that is also challenging, the men that really feel that they're intimidated by these women. And I think that the men, I mean, it's sad that I'm saying this, but I think these men need to step their game up, and do what they have to do so that it's the power shift is equal, because right now I feel it's not equal. The power shift is not equal because it's a lot that women are doing, and there's a lot of successful women out there, you know. Um, so I seen it, I heard it, from different people. I seen it for myself that that's just how it is, you know. Um, and men just want to be in control, and you can't be in control of somebody that's going to challenge you. You can't be in control of somebody that have everything that they need. You can't be in control of somebody that don't need you for nothing. You know, um, a lot of these successful women, they have everything. They just looking for a man on the mental concept, on a mental level, you know, to bond with. And it's some men that can't even do that. They can't even bond with a woman on a mental level, because they think everything is physical. So when it comes to the mental, they have nothing to offer, you know. And it's a sad case, but it's true. Why they like that? It's various reasons. You know, maybe they don't know their pops. Maybe their moms didn't teach them. And like I said, I believe that everything starts from the cradle. Everything starts from the cradle. And society plays a big part in our lives and what they do and what they convince us and manipulate us to think. But like they say, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. So if you instill this in your children, certain principles and certain rules, then whether whoever come into their lives or whatever environment they're in, they're gonna still have these principles instilled in them. So they're gonna always be protected and always okay because you taught them when they was young, and they will never forget that. Even if they go astray for a little bit, they're gonna always come back home. And I don't mean physically home, but they're gonna come back to what you taught them, which is home. You know. So that's just me. Me, let me tell you. Okay, I gotta tell you, cause me, I always put my little 2 cents in it. I'm just not here to preach. I don't want to preach. I want to educate and teach. I don't want to be a preacher. So, me personally, I keep it 100. I want a woman that's successful. You know what I'm saying? I don't want a woman that depends on me. I don't want a woman that's not doing nothing for herself. You know, and I have my fair share of those type of women. You know, um, for one thing, it's not mentally they're not mentally challenging to me. Mentally they don't feed me. You know, I'm a mental person. You gotta feed me with mental, not just with your physical, or not with just talking small talk. You know, educate me. I like to be educated. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of person I am. Read books, the books you read, tell me about it. Request a book for me to read. Tell me something that's going on somewhere else besides on the block, or at your job. You know what I'm saying? Feed me with intriguing information. I mean, we can keep a small talk here and there, but I don't want to hear small talk my whole life with you. You know what I'm saying? I just think that that's boring. You know, um, so I like a woman that's educated, that been to college, that's doing stuff for herself, that have her own. To me, I find that a more attractive than a female that's sitting around waiting for me, to take her out to dinner all the time, or waiting for me, to come home because she feel like she don't have a life without me. I don't want that. I've been there and done that. You know what I'm saying? I've been there and done that. That's not cool. I mean, to me, that's not cool. That's not sexy. You know what I'm saying? I'm just speaking for me. So this is just my opinion. I'm not saying the world is like this. I'm not saying anybody is foul. You know what I'm saying? Cause I know mad people is emotional. They mad people is sensitive. Like they just take everything to heart. I think everybody should have been born in Brooklyn. Where people are mad sensitive. But anyway, um, so yeah, so me, I'm not intimidated by successful and confident women. I mean, the more confident she is, the more successful she is, the better for me. I feel I like that, you know. And when I say successful, I don't mean successful like she got a 5 bedroom penthouse, or she got a condominium, with a garage. I'm not saying that type of successful. She can be at a 9 to 5, working hard. You know, she could be a young entrepreneur, striving, to get her business to where she's not working for it no more. She have employees, or her business is working on its own. You know, um, that's successful to me. So she don't have to have like, you know, um, millions of dollars in the bank and all of that. I'm not talking like that. Just a hard worker, somebody that's striving, that's doing for herself, you know, that's confident, that's don't rely on me to make her happy, that, don't blame me when she's upset, stuff like that. I'm not going to get all deep into that because that's a different topic. But that like that right there, that turns me on. That makes me want to pursue even more because I'm like, oh, okay, she has something going for herself. She's confident. She's not relying on me. You know, and if I was to get into a relationship with her, I know at some point she will rely on me. But that's when I get into a relationship with her. So that's a different level. You know, but what happens in the beginning, is critical. What I see in the beginning is critical, and that, yeah, some people can change up, once you get into a relationship with them. Trust me, I've been through that too. Trust me, when my book come out, you're gonna love it. I've been through, yo, it's not even a joke, but yeah, she can change up, in the middle of it, then that's another story. But I would rather have a nice beginning than a rough ending. I mean, I would rather have a nice ending than a nice beginning than a rough beginning. You know. Let me say that again. I would rather have a nice beginning than a rough beginning. You know, and different folks, different strokes for different folks. You know, um, everybody is worth having somebody. Everybody is worthy. Everybody have good qualities. So, I'm not saying just because, it's not my cup of tea that it's not somebody else's cup of tea. I'm not saying that. I know that. Just like for me, I mean, is people out there, it's women. When I was growing up and all that, doing my thing in my early years, it was women that thought that I was like, something that they should, die for. Then there was women that thought, you know, you nobody, you nothing. So I experienced that part of life. No matter what you got going on, no matter how you look, no matter how you talk, it's still gonna be somebody that's gonna be like, you're not my style. No matter what. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna still be like, yo, you're not my style. Because people have certain preferences, and certain preferences is going back to the subject at hand. You know, some men have certain preferences. Some men, some men just like that's just like me out there. You know, the female might, she might have a degree. She may have a degree in, in something, and a man may have a similar degree or another degree. And he might be like, I like, what she's doing. I like that she's, persistent. I like that, she's consistent, and I like that. I like that, And they wind up getting married, having kids, getting a house and stuff like that, you know. So it's a lot of men out there that's, that don't um shame from these women, but then it's also a good portion out there that will run and are um a little, intimidated by successful women, so I mean it is what it is. I always kick facts. I don't kick nothing, that's a lie or anything like that. The truth is the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. You still got to deal with it because you still think of it, whether if you hear it on my show or not. so, so that was a little. I didn't even meant for that to rhyme, but that's just how it is, you know. And I feel the more that a person can deal with society and deal with the truth and deal with what's going on, the happy that they are. You can't hide from forever. You can't even hide from yourself. Some people try to hide from themselves. You can't hide. So just face it, and that's the truth. It's a portion of men out there that are intimidated by these successful women, these successful, confident women that's doing their thing in this day and age, and instead of dating them or getting their stuff right, they would rather go to these, little girl mind women, that's easy, that's not going to challenge them, and deal with them because they want to have their cake and eat it too, but to each his own though, you know. But I just tell you one thing, women, if you deal with those type of men, you're gonna have a stressful relationship. You're gonna have a stressful relationship. You're gonna have a stressful life. You know what I'm saying? Because the type of men that just want control, that just want dominance, you're gonna feel like, you're a slave. You're gonna feel like you don't have a word. You're gonna feel like you can't speak. You can't voice your opinion. You're gonna be stressed out. And I ain't telling you nothing that you don't already know. I'm telling you the truth. So at the end of the day, it's up to what you want to do, what you feel is best for you. Oh, that rhymed again. um, yeah, so that's what it is. Um, and the next topic is going to be about something. Now, I was going to change the topic up, but I want to try to stay on point because there was a lot of things on the page that kind of, made me think, and that was going on. But that's going to be another show. So, I just want to thank you for tuning in. I definitely want to give a crazy shout out to the listeners. Tuesday Talk of Qualities is back. I'm going to change the day. I'm not going to have it on Tuesday no more. I'm going to tell you that now. When I decide what date it's going to be, I'm going to do one more Tuesday night show. And then after that, I'm going to change the date. I really want to keep it on Tuesday, but I have to change it. And I won't say why, but I have to change it. I have to change the show from Tuesday to another day out the week. So I'm going to really sit back and think about that day. And then, like I said, I will do one more show leading up to the transition and mention it on the show. And then also on the flyer, I will mention it on the flyer, the new date, and just take it from there. It's going to be the same time. It's going to be the same time and everything, but just a different day. Okay. So I'm gonna keep this short because I have some things to do. But I just wanted to get back out there on the air and let the people know that Qualities is still here. And once again, please share this station with your friends. Go to Qualities of a Good Man Facebook page, like that. Some great topics on there too. But the show is better because the show you hear my voice. I don't hold no bars. Either you have tough skin with me, or that's that. I don't hold nobody hand on this show. I want to be me. So that's what it is. So I would like to thank you for tuning in tonight. Definitely is going to be another show next Tuesday. I'm looking to bring on some very interesting people on the show coming up. So just stay tuned, stay up to date. Make sure you follow me so you can get these updates and stuff like that. Also, so you can chat live online, and we just take it from there. So I would like to thank you for talking to Tuesday Talk with Qualities on Spark 95.0 Radio. Peace, love, and happiness.